Hello, students, and welcome back to Sunday School Online. I'm your teacher for this session, Deaconess Robin Miller, and I come to you by way of the Greater Bethlehem Temple Apostolic Church, located in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the community of Northside, where Bishop James Chapman is my pastor, Lady Robin Chapman, our First Lady, and where we proudly proclaim as a church family, you've heard me say it before, say it with me, there is a God in Bethlehem, and Jesus is his name. If your friends and your family have not joined you yet, or maybe you haven't invited them yet, you still have time. I'm going to do our announcements. So before we get started, just want to remind you that we have other Sunday school classes on our YouTube channel, GBTAC Cincinnati, and it includes primary classes where Sister Casey Fisher is taking our children on an adventure. Sister Charlene Davis and also Sister Sonia Wilson, where they are challenging our teens to know the word for themselves. And also our intermediate classes, where Sister Torrey Deloach is putting something on our children's mind. Adults, your classes take place live every Sunday morning as the Lord allows at 9 o'clock a.m. and that can be found on our telechurch platform. Please visit our website, gbtac.org, that's O-R-G, for more information. And just to remind you, we are live back to in-person services. And that's at 11 a.m. every Sunday morning, as the Lord allows. We are following COVID practices, so if that's a day where you don't feel well, or you think, oh, gee whiz, what did I do with my mask? Because we are wearing masks. We are doing hand sanitization. We are social distancing 6 feet. So if that's the day where it's like, gee whiz, I just can't come, that's fine. Please join us for our live worship experience where we stream every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. as the Lord allows on our YouTube channel, on Streaming Church TV, Facebook, and also Instagram, Periscope. So check our website for additional information. Also, when you are checking our website, please know that we have a prayer line. We are here for you. During this time where we're trying to get back to whatever it is that we're calling the new normal, during times where we haven't been able to go into churches to see our pastors face to face, or maybe before now we didn't have a pastor and we realize how important it is to have Jesus a part of our lives. Please feel free to utilize our prayer line, speak with one of our associate pastors, and they will pray for you. Maybe it's something that you want to talk to our pastor about and let him know you consider yourself a virtual member because you've been stopping by the temple. Our office telephone number is also on our website, I believe. So check it out and feel free to contact us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, children with your parents' permission, and let us know you've been stopping by the temple. And if you think, I'm not quite sure I want to go, please know that this is a cordial invitation for you to stop by and be a part of our church community. And also the things that we offer, like our food pantry and other things, can be found on our gbtac.org website. Okay? So just to let you know, you are welcome at the temple. I think that does it for me for our announcements. Let's go ahead and get started with our lesson. Our lesson entitled this week, Israel Grumbles About Food. And that's going to be found in Numbers chapter 11, verses 4 through 6. Then we skip and go to verses 10 through 23. With our golden text being Numbers chapter 11, verse 23. So last week, to get started with our review, we learned not to treat God's name as common, but to reverence it the way it should be, as holy. We learned that our words are important. They are a part of our language of expression, and we are responsible for what we allow to come out of our mouths. Our homework, yes, I said the H word, homework, was to read the lesson and find out what punishment the young man experienced for blaspheming against the name of the Lord. Did you do that? Do you know the answer? Okay, that's part of the answer. What's the other part? I know some folks aren't saying anything. It's okay. What's the other part? You gotta find out the other part. Find out the other part. What was the full punishment that he suffered for blaspheming against the name of the Lord? Okay, so bring that back to me next week, all right? Okay, good deal. So our title, to reiterate it, is Israel Grumbles About Food. Israel refers to the nation or the children of God. Grumble means to complain about something in a bad-tempered way, a mutter of discontent. Now, it sounds reasonable to be upset about food. In America, the website Feeding America stated, according to the USDA's latest Household Food Insecurity in the United States report, more than 38 million people in the United States experienced hunger in 2020, meaning they didn't have enough food to eat. They had to skip meals, they had to skimp on meals, or maybe not everyone was able to eat during the meals. Maybe the children eat, but the parents couldn't eat because there wasn't enough. It also went on to report that in Ohio in 2018, 1,624,180 people experienced hunger. So that's 13.9% of the population at that time. So it is a serious thing to be hungry. Food is one of our basic needs, along with air, water, shelter, clothing, and more. But this is it. This wasn't the case for Israel. They weren't grumbling because they were hungry. God was feeding them with food from heaven. It was manna, and some have called manna angels' food. So God was feeding them. They weren't going without. In verses 5 through 6 of our lesson, we observe their complaining. They grumbled while they had all they needed by God. They were discontent. Google defines discontentment as 1, not content or satisfied, discontented. 2, a sense of resentment or restless satisfaction. So they're expressing a resentment for a provision that God has made for them. Whoa, that's very serious. You know, when I was younger, I heard adults say it this way: you're crying with a gallon of milk under one arm and a loaf of bread under the other. And that meant the person was whining or complaining about something they wanted, even with all the blessings they already had. Another kicker is that in verse 10, Moses and God heard the complaining. It's one thing to mutter to yourself and to vent, but it's quite another when those that care for you, provide for you, try to help you, hear you complaining. For instance, okay, so here's an example. Your parents buy you McDonald's and you mutter, I don't want McDonald's, I want a Chick-fil-A. Whoa, okay. Or maybe your class celebrates your birthday with cupcakes and you fold your arms and mutter, I am tired of cake for my birthday. I wanted donuts. Really? How ungrateful. Verse 18b begins with God's response, and verse 20, I love. In it, God responds to their desire, their need for food or sustenance. It's already been provided. So this is a response to their expressed desire. And in this response, we, meaning all of us, man, we learn over and over again from our human history and through our individual experiences with God that we are not, capital N, capital O, capital T. We are not God. He doesn't struggle to put things together. He isn't challenged for resources to make things happen. He isn't surprised. He isn't worried by situations. He is God. The Bible tells us later in the book of Numbers that God is no mere human. He doesn't tell lies or change his mind. God always keeps his promises. And that's found in Numbers chapter 23, verse 19. And I believe that was the contemporary English version. God himself reminded Moses with a rhetorical question in our golden text. And that's verse number 23. Is the Lord's hand waxed short? So this scripture in full reads this way from the King James Version. And the Lord said unto Moses, is the Lord's hand waxed short? Thou shalt see now whether my word shall come to pass unto thee or not. Now, out of the Amplified Classic Version, the Lord said to Moses, has the Lord's hand, meaning his ability and power, become short, meaning thwarted or inadequate, you shall see now whether my word shall come to pass for you or not. He lets Moses and his people know that not only can he supply their needs, but their desires as well. There is this saying, and I heard this on Star Trek, having is not so pleasing a thing as wanting. Meaning our desires make us think that what we want is so much better than what it would be if we actually had it. The children of Israel behaved this way. They talked about having meat to eat in Egypt and how great it was in their complaint against Moses and their complaint that God heard. But what they forgot to remember is that they were slaves without any rights to do what they wanted to do, when they wanted to do it, how they wanted to do it. They only remembered the meat because that is where their desire was. That is where they placed their focus. So you have homework. Yes, you have homework if you didn't finish last week's. So you have a double assignment, okay? So our homework for this week's lesson is twofold. What other foods did the children of Israel remember having in Egypt? It wasn't just meat. They complained about the meat, but it was other foods that they remembered too. And I'll give you a hint. Yes, it's in our lesson text. So if you read the scriptures for our lesson, you'll get the answer. And here's one that I want you to ponder, and we'll talk about it or we'll discuss it the next time we meet for our lesson if the Lord allows. Would God have been angry if his people requested their desires from him, or would he have felt the same way as he did when they grumbled about them to each other? That's a thought. So read the lesson, think about those two things. The other one we'll discuss the next time we get together. So in conclusion, today we saw that God is faithful. He's faithful to supply the needs of his people, but needs and desires are two different things. We learned that being ungrateful or discontent over God's provision is displeasing to him, and it does not honor him. We learned that we need to rethink our situation when we are unhappy, because sometimes it isn't as bad as we thought or imagined it to be. We are really blessed. Now, this lesson has so much more contained in it. So don't forget to read it. Share what you learned by reading it and coming to Sunday School online today. Or better yet, remember to invite your friends, your family, your neighbors, your classmates to Sunday School online next time, where we're going to be discussing God provides and punishes. And that's going to be found in the same book, the book of Numbers, chapter 11, verses 24 through 35, with our golden text or our focus text verse being Numbers chapter 11, verse 29. And I leave you with my borrowed saying from VeggieTales: God made you special. There's not another one like you. And he loves you very much. I'll see you on the next time. Bye.